Now that we've closed part 2, the primary level, we're moving into part 3, the secondary level, the producers of fashion. In chapter 7, product development, we'll discuss how lines are made. Product development is defined as the teaming of market and trend research with merchandising, design, and technical processes that develop final products. It is used by both wholesalers and retailers. Product lines and the people who develop them. Product lines are created and styled for wholesale presentation for each season per year. Designers generally work on 3 seasonal lines at a time. The term line is used to describe moderate, popular price apparel, while the term collection is used to describe expensive lines in the US or in Europe. Lines are grouped together by garments which are linked by color, fabric, or style. Each garment is assigned its own style number. Few lines are original. Most are copied line for line in similar fabric, created as knockoffs in cheaper fabrics, or reworked from a previous season in a different color or fabric. These are called anchors. Express from season to season has anchors in their collections. You will notice the same design or style but in different fabrics or colors. Just go to their website and take a quick look or visit one of their retail stores. Unlike France, copywriting designs in the US is not allowed. Product lines and the people who develop them continue. Defining roles. The merchandiser conducts research to determine who the right customer is. They must identify this consumer to ensure the 6 rights of merchandising are met. Do you recall what the 6 rights are? The right merchandise, at the right price, at the right time, in the right place, and in the right quantity, with the right promotion. Designers create sketches of garments for their lines or collections. They sketch by hand, on a sketch pad, by computer-aided design, or by draping. Draping consists of taking a fabric, such as a muslin, and draping it onto a model or a mannequin to create a design. Designers must keep in mind the business considerations. Design should be created with consideration for the material cost and availability, the cost of cutting, and the cost of sewing and labor, all of which lead to determining how profitable a design will be. The producer consists of 3 types who create a finished product: the apparel manufacturer, the apparel jobber, and the apparel contractor who creates products via section or piecework. The apparel manufacturer carries out all of the required steps to produce apparel, from buying the fabric to selling and shipping the finished garments. Quality control can be maintained because the work is done in-house instead of being contracted out. The apparel jobber handles the designing, planning and purchasing, cutting, selling and shipping, but not the sewing. The apparel contractor's sole function is to supply sewing services. In mass production of ready-to-wear, a sewing machine operator rarely makes a complete garment, but rather sews only a section, such as a sleeve. This is referred to as piecework or section work. Review the advantages and disadvantages of contractors on pages 133 through 134 of your textbook. Do keep in mind that the term manufacturer is increasingly being used to describe any firm involved in any part of the cutting and sewing process. Product development. There are 6 stages. Stage 1 is planning a line. Stage 2 is creating the design concept. Stage 3 is developing the designs. Stage 4 is planning production. Stage 5 is production. And stage 6 is distributing the line. Stage 1, planning a line. So designers and product development teams work together closely under the direction of the merchandiser to create a line. Their very first step is to conduct research. They'll need to review color, fabrics, and material trends, as well as the prior season sales records. This research helps them to determine what the line will consist of. Stage 2 is creating the design concept. Individual garments are designed by either sketching or using muslin to drape. Designers will weigh their work based upon 2 points: its own individual merit and its suitability in the line as a whole. Designs begin to get discarded at this stage. Stage 3, developing designs. Computer-aided design lends itself to be helpful at this stage as designs can be easily manipulated. The designers can test various colorways and see designs in 3D. Sample garments are created for those designs that are deemed most likely to succeed. A production pattern is created and the samples are cut and then sewn. Computer-aided design is also used to produce patterns. Samples are then presented to executives for another round of elimination. Designs that are accepted are assigned a style number and officially become part of the line. Stage 4 is production planning. This deals with sourcing. Sourcing is the process of doing research to determine where the different materials, trimmings, threads, and linings used to create a garment will be purchased from. Stage 5 is production. Styles that are highly liked by buyers will move on to the production stage. There are 4 phases within this stage: cutting, sewing, finishing the product, and inspecting the product. Cutting is one of the most important steps. A garment scheduled for production must be graded or sloped to each size that it will be produced in. These pieces of the graded patterns are laid out on a marker and then cut. Certain pieces of the garment are sewn by a single machine operator before all the pieces are sewn together. To finish the product, labels are affixed, buttonholes are cut, and buttons are sewn. Some manufacturers opt to attach a barcoded price ticket, making the item floor ready. The garment is then inspected throughout the production process. Fabric, dye quality, cutting, and sewing are all looked at. Garments are checked for quality assurance, ensuring they meet the established standards. Stage 6 is distribution. Shipments are then sent to retailers via air, rail, truck, or sea. As manufacturers observe sales, they will reproduce or recut the most in-demand garments. Brands and labels. Brands and labels are broken down into 5 categories: national and designer brands, private labels, retail store brands, other brands, and non-brands. Consumers, however, often just think of brands and non brands. The national brand is going to be those owned by manufacturers who advertise the brand nationally. Examples include Hanes, Nike, and Dyson. These brands benefit from broad recognition. They are sold in numerous retail locations. Designer labels carry the name of the designer. Examples include Michael Kors, Tommy Hilfiger, and Karl Lagerfeld. Private label brands are owned by the retailer and are only found in that retailer's store. Target has 45 private labels, including A New Day, Ava and Viv, and Cat and Jack, to name a few. Retail store brands take the name of the chain and use it as the exclusive label on most of the items in the store. White House Black Market, Torrid, and Foot Locker are examples of stores with a retail store brand. Other brands is a catch-all for all the labels that are not included in the aforementioned. This would include cartoons like Disney and Marvel, also sporting teams, whether they're professional or non-professional, such as the NBA, NFL, and college leagues. These are often licensed brands. Non-brands are the brands that the consumers don't really find of that much of importance. These products are produced at low price points and are often found at discount retail stores like TJ Maxx, Marshalls, and Burlington's. Industry practices. Manufacturers are acting as retailers by opening their own stores. The first designer to do this was Ralph Lauren. He did this out of frustration with how specialty stores were selling his clothing. Manufacturers also open factory or outlet stores to get rid of poor sellers and overstocks without cutting too much into their profits. Licensing is when merchandise is identified with a highly recognizable name. Designers will receive royalties of 2 to 15% on sales. Greater exposure and minimal investment in the development and manufacturing. The disadvantages include loss of quality control and the potential loss of exclusive customers due to new product offerings not necessarily being targeted for them. Corporate licensing is the fastest growing segment of licensing. Think about those Disney products or that t-shirt or baseball cap from your favorite luxury car brand. These are all licensed items. Brand extension is when the brand name is used to launch new or modified products. This creates instant brand recognition of a new product line while not having to promote a new name. Examples would be Sean John. So when I first started working at Sean John, the company offered clothing for men, but not accessories. As time went on, Sean John moved from just offering shirts, pants, sweaters, to offering shoes, ties, and other garments. Private label and specification buying. So specification buying is purchasing that is done at the store standards rather than the manufacturer's. The standards covered are the quality of the materials, the workmanship, styling, and costs. Again, examples of private labels would be Target and their 45 different private label offerings. Offshore production is when manufacturers produce products overseas using inexpensive labor. This is beneficial because it does help control the cost for the consumer. 97% of apparel sold in the U.S. is imported. Consider this. You have a local manufacturer that produces a shirt for $5 and you have an offshore manufacturer producing that same shirt for $2. Which one would you go with? Most likely you're going to go with the offshore manufacturer because of the inexpensive labor. Use of factors. Factors are an alternate system of financing developed for the apparel industry. These companies either purchase the manufacturer's accounts receivable or advance cash on the basis of accounts receivable. Chargebacks are financial penalties imposed by retailers on manufacturers for mistakes to purchase orders and ticketing, and sometimes partial or late shipment and poor sellers. Supply chain management. Companies share forecasting, point of sale data, inventory information, and the supply and demand for materials and products to deliver the right product and at the right time. Barcodes and RFID. Universal Product Code, also known as the UPC, is used to identify items scanned at the register. The UPC will tell the retailer the size, style, and color of a garment. It will also remove that garment from inventory. The RFID, or radio frequency identification, uses electronic tags for storing data. A serial number allows for the tracking of cartons and products as they move through the supply chain.